Purposeful Positive Parenting, session number 2, dream it, dua it, and do it. Reminding ourselves that you are not just raising a child, but who you have in your hand is an ambassador of Islam. So inshallah, we are going to spend some quality time to learn, rise and shine together. So the first thing, in session number 2 that we're going to talk about, once we have accomplished what is purposeful, what is positive, and what is parenting for us, is to start remembering from the remembrance of our own parents. So this word is going to stand out for you today, parents. Alhamdulillah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made us parents, and sometimes it gets so busy that we forget who? Our own parents, right? So inshallah, this purposeful positive parenting will invite all of us that we get to know our own beginnings. All right. And why? Because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, a person came to him asking this permission to go in jihad. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked him, are your parents alive? So where is he going? For jihad, which is like, the noblest of the deeds. And he supplied in the affirmative. He said, Naam, yes, my parents are alive. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to him, فَفِيهِمَا فَجَاهِدْ. So then exert yourself in their service. So sometimes when we are taking care of our children, it feels like the biggest jihad ever, right? And you're providing for them, you're feeding them, changing them, buying for them, providing things for them. And there's so much going on. You say that, sometimes it's so expensive, but you don't even get time to call your own parents. And there is, the time just goes by. So inshallah, the first thing that we have to remind ourselves is to start with a purposeful, if we really want to do purposeful positive parenting, then start back and remember our own parents. So inshallah, we are going to dissect this word into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 portions. So the number 1, and let's see how many of us will remember that 7. So the number 1, P, is positive or purposeful. Okay, no matter what experience remain there, we should remember that Abu Huraira radiallahu anhu, he asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who amongst the people is most deserving of my good treatment? Is it my child or is it somebody else? But Rasulullah said, your mother, then ummak, your mother, then ummak, your mother, and then your father. So inshallah, I'm going to start looking at my parents as the doors to Jannah from now on. And it has to be a purposeful, positive relationship. Even if in certain situation, there are some people who come to a very difficult situation in which they have no connection with their parents anymore. It's very dead because they feel they didn't respect me as much as I needed to be respected. They didn't do as much for me. But we will remember the legacy of Ibrahim alayhi salam, that even when he is approaching his father, he is doing it with utmost, respect, and he has a purpose in his mind. And he is saying that I am going to, Ya Abati, I'm going to make dua for you. So inshallah, we as believers, we should always keep our parents in dua. Rabbir Huma kama Yaani Sagheera. One more time for our in-laws, Rabbir Huma kama Yaani Sagheera. And one more time for all those teachers and mentors who have helped us in our journey, right? So inshallah, we make dua for them as well, that may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy upon them as they brought me up when I was small. Number 2, A, will stand for acknowledge the favors. Sometimes even when we come in the life of deen, we think that, my parents didn't do that. I didn't even study the Quran. I went to the university. I went to the college. I did this. I did that. But nobody even told me how to wear the hijab properly. Nobody guided me, what was the etiquettes and mannerism in Islam. The biggest favor they did to you was bringing you in this life with the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is enough that gives them the status of mother and father. So inshallah, we have to remember to acknowledge the favors and make this dua that Rabbi awzani an ashkura ni'mataka allati an'amta alayya wa ala walidayya wa an a'mala salihan tardahu wa aslih li fi zurriyati Inni tubtu ilayka wa inni minal muslimin. My Lord, enable me to be grateful for your favor which you have bestowed upon me and upon my parents, and to work righteousness of which you will approve, and make righteous for me my offspring. Indeed, I have repented to you, and indeed I am of the Muslims. So inshallah, we have to remember that our moms carried us for over around 9 months or so, and then our dads worked hard to raise us. So inshallah, we have to acknowledge each and every favor. If they would not have taught us to write alif ba ta or learn ABC, we would not have been where we are, where we start questioning them intellectually that, oh, they didn't do this or they didn't do that. So inshallah, have to bring us back to connect to our beginnings. The number third thing is respect. When it comes to respect, what is the slogan? Give respect to get respect. As simple as that. And for parents, it's more than ever that we respect them. Sometimes when we grow up and we have our children, we think that we know parenting more than anything. Oh, we did courses and we are in the 21st century or whatever. But their advice, their things are much better for us, and they have years of experience, so they are guiding us with all that wisdom. So what we have to do with the E is to engage and empower. Yes, there is going to be a generation gap. Yes, there are certain things that like with technology and things, you moved on. At that time, do we use this E to embarrass them? What do you think? Should we be embarrassing them? No. But what should we be doing? Empowering them. And that E, how we're going to empower, is by educating, by entertaining, and engaging with interactive content. You book them a conference, you take them to a place where they enjoy being with scholars and things. We are responsible for their parenting, but we're not responsible for the education of our parents. If we just have to humble ourselves. But at the same time, we can educate, engage, empower, and entertain. So think about it. How can I do that for my parents, inshallah? There is another video that everybody can benefit from, and that is top 10 ways to make your parents happy. We have discussed a lot in detail in there. The N would be for, if we really want to do PPP, which is Purposeful Positive Parenting, is to be nice. And that niceness will show how we are nice to our relationships. And what does it basically mean? It means that no more frowning. So if we have a frown, we have to turn it upside down. And why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that your Lord has commanded that you shall not serve but Him, and goodness to your parents. وَبِالْ وَالِدَيْنِ ihsana. And if either or both of them reach old age with you, say not to them so much as nor scold them, and speak to them a kind word. So inshallah, going forward, specifically for our parents and generally for everybody, don't even say oof to your parents. Even it's your child, remember that, this is how the Prophet ﷺ, those who were around him, they were always getting his kindness. So inshallah, let's revisit this. Maybe that particular moment where you have all this anger built in, that's the time when you're controlling, and that's your good deed taking you to Jannah. So that's just a paradigm shift that we will have to do, inshallah. Now, the second last is T, and T stands for trust here. What does that mean? In our whole life, your parents are the only one who are not in competition with you. They are the ones who are always sitting there making du'as for you. But what happens when you grow up, they ask you something, you are like, oh, they are interrogating me, or I don't have time to explain everything. Why do I have to consult them for my decisions? So the question is, when you can't trust your parents, who can you trust? So if you pick up any success stories in this life, whether from Islamically or non-Islamically, you will see that they have reached those levels. Much of that is because they valued from the ground, from the roots. So when you really truly value the roots, you get a lot of fruits. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us reap all that fruits. I'm going to tell you a story here. A person, he works in the Department of Character Strong, and he said that he wanted to help his students grow. So he said, you need to text 5 people, and this is a homework for all of us. 5 people, what is one way that I can be better in our relationship? So ask that person. So he did that in front of his students. 5 people he texted, what is one way I can be better in our relationship? And he immediately got back a text from his mom saying, you give horrible hugs. And the rule was that you're not going to be defensive. So So he was like, I give good hugs, come on. And he's 29 years at that time. And he's getting that text, and then his students are there laughing at him. And he said, like little while later, I realized that yes, with life, my front hugs became side hugs, and just formality hugs with my mom. So next time he saw his mom, he gave her a genuine tight big hug and held for a little while longer. The second time around when he went, his mom, he said, you are getting better at it. So when it becomes in your system, he's like, I had nothing to lose. So inshallah, in this journey of Triple P, you have nothing to lose if you use this strategy and text out to at least begin with 5 loved ones and ask them, how can I make my relationship better with you? And you'll be amazed what comes back. We don't want to be 59 when we find out that, we give horrible hugs, or we pick horrible gifts or whatever it is. We should find out early on, inshallah. So the last but not the least, the S for parents is, what could it be? Service, right? So service is really important, and inshallah, they don't even need much service. Most of them, mashallah, they are able to do their things, but it's a service mindset where you humble yourself and you're available, that yes, if you need me, I am there and I can help you. So it's like, making sure, like there was a person who said, no matter what I do, my parents are always angry and grumpy. Like I ask them what they need, I get them what they need, and they're still grumpy. And the scholar told him, what, when you were a child, did you tell your mom that I needed this? She made sure that everything was there for you beforehand. When you were growing up, she would buy your clothes beforehand. She would get your diapers, she would get your bed, she would get your school supplies, she would get your admission done beforehand. She didn't even ask you that what you need. Do you need a haircut? No, she would just make sure that your nails are clipped, your things are clipped. So here you are making a mistake. You are thinking that you need to ask your parents what do they need, and then you get them that thing. You have to change that psychology and become proactive and be ahead and try to think that what they could be need. Maybe throw a party with them and their friends and things like that. So inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enable us all to do that, and do that one thing at a time. So from PARENTS, keep that checklist in front of for yourself, and remind yourself that don't stress, but do your best and forget the rest. So if you are truly wanting to do Triple P, you can shorten your circle. Sometimes you feel overwhelmed because we have circle too much widened. So shorten it up and put first people first, your parents first, then everything else, the world around will spin around, not naturally, normally. And you will see, just like your child feels so comfortable when he gets in your arm and in your lap, he's so comfortable and relaxed. You will feel that tranquility, that when you put all your troubles and fears and you go to your mom and dad crying and just sit with them, you feel like, oh my God, everything is solved. No problem anymore. And inshallah, I will be a good parent, inshallah, going forward too with my children, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq for that. So we will stop here and inshallah continue our journey next time on the Triple P. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala facilitate all goodness. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. And one time consciously we say for our parents, Rabbir Huma kama Rabbayani Sagheera. And this is a dua we can say even if they have left this world, and that's a temporary separation. May we meet our parents next to the Hawd Kausar. May we enter the Jannah with our parents and our families and progenies, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.